everyone. So as you know, we're setting up a new operations and IT service management team at Cisco. And today we have Chatra, who is the head of ITSM and a VP engineering at Cisco Labs, to talk to us about this team, a little bit about the work and the scope that it's going to be covering, and the kind of profile of person that we're looking to hire for this team as well. Hi, Chatra.
Hi, Stefan. Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so before we go into the IT service management team and some of the specifics around how their work will be, can we talk a little bit about Cisco and the kind of technology that goes behind the food service journey and the operation of Cisco in general so the audience can understand that a little bit better?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, Stefan. I don't think a lot of people really understand the amount of technology that is involved at Cisco today, because when we talk about all of these things, we kind of talk about the end product, but what goes behind the scene to make them happen is somewhat covered by a lot of these conversations. But Cisco is an organization that is using a vast technology stack going on from latest technologies into technologies which is 30-40 years old, more than my lifetime. So it's a different monster. With that, it has the teams are executing latest methods of doing development and anything that is going on to some of the traditional ways that we've used many years ago. So it's a bit of a challenge for any of the things we are trying to do, because you can't just say, hey, this is a clean cut approach, here's a process that's going to work for everybody, and that's never going to work for Cisco. So there is technologies going on from our latest e-commerce platforms to our API development, our warehousing technologies, our order processing technologies, transportation technologies. Like it's a lot. And the amount of technology and the people involved around all of these things is unbelievable.
Great, Chatra. So it's my understanding that the IT services management team will be the one that is responsible for all of the technologies that are live in the production environment. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on what the team will be doing and what their core focuses will be.
So yeah, Stefan, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of our groups using various technologies today. So different teams are using different methodologies. The way they develop things are different. But there are sort of, if you look at ITSM as a horizontal layer, there are sort of three main buckets that I always put the work into. The first part of that is around incident management. Basically, there's sub parts around that, but mainly it revolves around making sure that we manage our environments in a way that anything critical that is happening in the environment is proactively managed through our teams, so that our teams are aware of a problem that is going on. So at the end of the day, our customers don't get impacted with what's going on in those environments. There is some critical subparts to that, which is mainly around finding repetitive problems and fixing them, so that we don't keep on ending up with the same issue over and over again. The second part of that is the change management process. Again, a lot of these teams are using different technologies, different methodologies, different people involved. There's so much of engineering teams involved, standards involved. But through the change management process, what we're trying to do is to make sure that when we are sending something to production, it's properly tested. The impact areas are properly identified. The relevant people are involved in the process, so that once we send it to production, and when we have a new release in production, for no reason, our customers get impacted, and they can continue with the day-to-day operations. So the idea is that nobody on the customer side, they should not be impacted due to any of the things we are doing. We can do whatever we want, or our teams can do whatever we want, but we need to make sure that our customers don't get impacted with any of the stuff we are doing. The third main bucket is tools. I call it tools and automation. It's around Some of the key tools that we are using at Cisco to enable a lot of these things. The main tool around is ServiceNow. The way we use the tool today is not the optimum in my opinion. So we need to do a lot of improvements around it. There is things like automation that we can do to make sure that our teams are given more flexibility and more information to do their business better. Couple of other things that comes into play there is around the CMDB, dashboards and automation again that people can use to have more insights to what is going on so that they can make informed decisions.
Right. So, in the podcast that we've done internally within Cisco, and in the past when you have spoken about this subject, you've talked a lot about how ITSM can traditionally be seen as more of a very strict policing kind of function, but you plan to make this team much more collaborative and have this team focus much more on providing tools and insights that allow the engineering teams to proactively solve problems so they can work together as partners. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that kind of an approach and philosophy to ITSM.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So every time you say ITSM, there's this notion where people it's always reminding them of this traditional ITSM which has been around forever. Uh, the parts of what we're trying to do fundamentally is not different to them, but the way we want to approach this is sort of ITSM for 2020, where you know we're trying to be more sort of proactive in a lot of these things, monitoring our systems in a way that our teams are engaged before a problem actually happens to the system or to the end user, so that this incident management part becomes a easier job over time. Also, like, we don't want to be like this strict change management process that is there in a lot of the places, like in the new world of things. A lot of our teams are authorized, if they follow the right set of standards, to send things to production, right, as daily releases. So in that sort of environment, we want to make sure we enable those teams to do it with the right checks and balances, so that it's not like it has to come to the centralized team always to approve it, and then there's time spent there. Like, we want to get, we want to think differently around those areas, and we want to make sure that we address all those problems so that our teams can go in the speed that they want to go. Again, on the tools and automation, there are many things we can do at Cisco today around automating things. Like, a lot of our problems, one good example is like password resets. If you look at the number of tickets coming in, majority of them are around password reset, where if we do some simple automations, we can potentially reduce those number of incidents coming in, from the percentages that it is today. So the way we are thinking about this is different. Obviously, there's a long way to go. We just got started, but the idea is to be, be more flexible, work with our teams to make them work better, work faster, and not to be this, the additional headache lying on their heads to enable them to do what they want to do.
Nice. Now, I know that a lot of organizations, when they start approaching IT services management, they look at building really big, bulky teams that are just full of guys who to put out fires and to fix issues as they arise. But I know that we are planning to set up a much smaller, leaner team, full of more highly skilled individuals. So maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on the profile of a candidate that we're looking for to fill out these teams.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. If you look at any traditional organization, like this layer of ITSM is this huge group who is sort of very strict, folks who's always ticking boxes and checking, to make sure that nobody's violating things. Without going that route, what I would like to do is to build linear teams with highly skilled individuals who can make informed decisions without the sort of the hierarchy and the structure around it. instead of going from the user to a manager, from the manager to another director, from a director to another person, we want to have people or resources or individuals who can actually make informed decisions based on the information that we've given him. That is not, it's a bit controversial. It's not the easiest to do, because it really, a lot of these things really depends on the skill set of the individual. So having people who really has that background, really has the capability to make those decisions is the key here, and those are the sort of individuals that we are looking to hire for our team.
Nice. All right, Chatra, it was really good talking to you, and I think you've given the audience a lot of insights into what this team is going to be like, and it definitely looks like it's going to be an exciting project.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure. It's exciting times at Cisco. It's unprecedented times around the world with COVID and everything. There's a lot of uncertainty, but this is all which makes it sort of better for us to do some of the things we want to do, because we are also thinking about things differently now. So we really want to use the opportunity to grow all of these things and then make it a success for Cisco, and to our customers at the end of the day.